Hey, you know what? I spend enough time on this channel dunking on movies, and I thought what might be productive is to also share when I see something truly great, at least by my opinion. I'm no critical drinker. I don't have like maybe the right words, and I'm not going to become a movie review channel. But because it's so rare when I see a good film, at least in by my taste, that I feel like it's a good idea to tell you about it because people are always looking for something good. This year, in 2022, I think I've seen three movies I really liked. One was The Black Phone. And again, everyone kind of has their type of movies, right? I like slow burn, like suspense with big reveal, and like, and just got to stick the landing, which is rare, which means I watch a lot of movies that leave me with blue balls. But this movie, I've seen a movie this year, so like Black Phone, I thought, excellent film. I could make a whole video on that. Just the child actors crush it. Ethan Hawke crushes it. The pace, the cinematography, everything awesome. Pig was another movie. Nicolas Cage, absolutely awesome. Loved it. Yeah, and like even another Nick Cage movie. I think it may have came out last year, but I watched it this year. Was The Unbearable Weight of whatever Exceptional Talent or something? Another Nick Cage movie. And yes, Pedro Pascal is a communist, but like still a good movie. But that's like it. I guess Maverick was pretty good too. But like I watched a movie last night that again, admittedly, is like in my realm of type of movies that I liked. But I want to give a genuine recommendation, and it's for a movie called Vengeance. You may have seen it. It like basically popped in and popped out of theaters, but I saw the trailer. I knew I wanted to see it. BJ Novak is the writer and director of this film, and he's also the star in it. You could argue, if you don't know who BJ Novak is, of course, he played like the swarmy guy on The Office, like the D-bag guy, who was actually like a producer on the show anyway. But I would say like there was that one season of The Office where his character was really successful, and he was like a douche, and he was like a big wig, and then he ends up embezzling money and all this stuff. But like in The Office, he plays like that character in this show, which you could argue like whatever, but it like actually works really well for him. The rest of the cast, Boyd Holbrook crushes it, absolutely crushes it. And like a lot of people might say this, a lot of people giving me grief on Twitter. Ashton Kutcher, I'm telling you, absolutely nailed it. Completely blown away. What's the premise of the movie? Well, it's a writer from New York City who's kind of a D-bag and a big part of hookup culture, gets a call one night. And I'm not giving any spoilers. This is all in the trailer. Gets a call one night and it says, oh, something terrible happened. Your girlfriend passed away. Well, it's just some chick that he had hooked up with some night, but for whatever reason, he feels compelled, like he almost gets like bullied into going to the funeral. He feels responsible. I don't know. There's complex emotions that lead him to go to this funeral. He shows up, and they're all these hillbilly TM people, but like, in a lot of ways, you think that the film people think the film is making fun of Texas and like not the cosmopolitan parts of Texas, like, Dallas or Austin or Houston or something like that. But like the out by the derricks, and it does have like some irony, some funny stuff like that. But I really think it's a love letter to Texas and the people of Texas and family and small town values and handling your own business. So anyway, he goes to the funeral. And then there's a reveal to him from her brother that says like, hey, I think there's more to what happened. I think that there's a conspiracy. And then he, being that swarmy D-bag, is like, oh, great, I'm going to turn this into a podcast. And like, he's like recording podcasts. The family's like reluctantly into it because they want to solve this crime. There's a big reveal that I'm not going to obviously give, but like, that's the premise of the movie, right? Weird stuff happens. He's a total fish out of water. He accidentally cheers for Texas A&M instead of Texas Tech. There's all sorts of weird stuff like that. He eats Frito pie for the first time. and he's like, oh, it's disgusting, and then like later in the film he's just like casually eating it. So stuff like that. um and I really want to say that I think BJ Novak did very, very good in the role. And again, he basically played the exact same character he played on The Office, especially that one season where he was like hyper successful. But he plays the same character here, and he was smart enough to like write the movie around a character he already knew how to play pretty well. The brother of the deceased girl, played by the character's name is TJ Shaw, absolutely crushes it. And there's a whole like subplot story where he thinks he's from the city, so he thinks he's better than them. He thinks, oh, they're all in these conspiracy theories and all this kind of stuff, but he's like better, he thinks he's better than them, and ultimately he gets humbled. It's that kind of story. There is like one kind of weird woke rant where like it's alluding to being anti-poke, I think, and being, stuff like that. But like it's not like it doesn't feel like an injection of like woke politics. It's like that's the dude he's playing. You know what I mean? Like that's the dude that BJ Novak is playing. That's how he would have talked. Like in the very beginning of the movie, he's hanging out with that musician. What is his name? John Mayer. And they're like sitting there on their cell phones having this really interesting dialogue. There's like really weird dialogue. And they're just talking about hooking up with chicks and all, just being, garbage people. Let me get to the character that I thought really made this movie. And maybe I'm just crazy, okay? Maybe I'm just crazy and I don't know anything about film, okay? Well, there's also a child actor who goes by El Stupido. His real name's Mason. Just great job the kid does. The grandmother on the show, the grandmother, Granny Shaw, does awesome. Anyway, Ashton Kutcher plays a character called Quentin Sellers. And he is presented in the movie as a record producer, kind of in the middle of nowhere. Just a big character, tall drink of water out in the middle of nowhere in Texas. And he has some of the most like compelling dialogue that I've heard in a long time. Like all the dialogue in this movie, you're like really hanging on every word. They might not be saying something, they might be saying something innocuous, but you feel like I need to be listening to what they're saying. And it's like, man, that's a far departure from, the normal Hollywood dreck, like, The Rings of Power or She-Hulk or stuff like that. And Ashton Kutcher has not one, but two, maybe three, like, super awesome monologues. And I know it's like, oh, come on, bro. I'm serious. There's a monologue where he's trying to hype up a singer to get like a little better take on her vocals. Then there's a second monologue later in the video in a tent. That's all I'll say about that. That's also like, dang, dude. Like this is like the that 70s show got. I thought it was great. Maybe I'm just crazy. Okay, maybe I'm just, I don't know. There are a lot of other like side characters in this film, and again, I admit that like the thriller mystery type movies are my favorite. So like after I watched those last night, I sat sitting in my theater just watching it with the dogs, and I was like, after I watched it, I was like, I had the same feeling that I had after watching Pig, after watching The Black Phone, after watching Hell or High Water, or what's the other one? Shoot, I can't think of the name of it. I don't want to miss like an actual good recommendation. Wind River. It's like I went in with like very little expectations, and I was like, my expectations for Hollywood are so low that like, it's just like maybe these movies are just average, like Wind River, Hell or High Water, stuff like that. But like after I watch them, or Pig or The Black Phone, I'm like, dang, finally something that doesn't feel like I've seen it 1,000 times before. Something that isn't shoving modern day politics in my face. Something that was like interesting, compelling, and it really did have me engaged the entire time. Now, I don't know if you can stream it at home or if it's in the theaters around you. I had to pay $20 to rent it on Amazon, but like, I'll make $7 for making this video, so I only paid 13 bucks. But you know, I think it's important that I take the time that like to show you to share good movies. And look, if you got 1 or 2 people in your house, paying 20 bucks to rent a movie isn't that big of a deal. And maybe or you wait a little bit, it can come out. It'll come out on, or it might be in the theater by you still. Or of course, I'm sure it'll be on some streaming service for cheaper. But I'd say if you like thriller type movies like The Chestnut Man, even Clove Hitch Killer, like these type of movies, slow burn, big reveal that really stick the landing, I think I'll give you my seal of approval on Vengeance, written, directed, and starred in by BJ Novak. And, you know, let me know if you want me to continue to share when I see a good movie. I watch a lot of movies. I have a particular taste, though. I'm not really an action movie guy. I'm not a comedy guy. I like movies that are sad and real. I also like horror movies, so you know I'm used to seeing, you know, nonstop garbage. So whenever I see a good horror movie or a horror movie done well, I'll shout it from the rooftops. But yeah, so if you're looking for a movie recommendation, watch the trailer, and I'll leave a link to where I rented it. I don't know if you can get a deal on it, or I had a bunch of Amazon credits, so maybe you can use them for that. Yeah, so Vengeance. It's pretty good. Check it out.